Alrighty guys, hello and welcome back to the show and the continuation of Femboy Willow week, or as somebody commented in the last video that I made, because Willow was getting so many mass dumps from Furnace Sugar Baby Willow week, which is now going to be the way that we're going to be calling Willow from now on, because Willow loves it. He sent me a frowny face whenever I sent him that comment, so obviously he loves it. But we got Lost Archipelago on the cards for y'all today. Believe this is another 4v4 matchmaking. I really like this map. It was made by, I'm pretty sure it was made by Emperor Penguin. This is one of my favorite maps, along with there's another archipelago kind of map that Penguin also made that I really enjoy. So let's go ahead and get into introducing our players. We've got team 1 up at the top, team 2 at the bottom, as is customary. We'll start with what I believe is the rearguard air position on this map. We've got Just Destro playing Cybran, opening first land to his south, sharing the main island with his calm idol. He is Bob the Builder, except he's not really building anything because his commander is idle. There we go. Now he's building something, and he now lives up to his name, Bob the Builder, as I get a voice crack. Okay, Snowy Ruined Day, which is the next player, I guess, and he's going to Cybran, opening first land. I don't know how I was going to finish that sentence, but it's okay. I finished it, and that is all that matters. And last but not least, for team number 1, we have Buzzle Bash, who's going Seraphim. He's opening first land, going second air. Got a lot of reclaim on his island, but he is going to be hung out to dry a little bit out here. Got 3 players pretty closely knit together, and then 1 player that is hung out a little bit alone. And let's start with the player for team number 2 that is on his own over here. We've got Katawunga, who is going first air in this lovely claustrophobic and very Navy-centric position, but he went first air. Get some scouts out, maybe get some transports out, going for the northern island. Next, let's go to our rearguard air position. We have Sugar Baby Willow, or Femboy Willow, otherwise known as Willow's Duality. If you guys don't know who he is, he's a fantastic caster. I'll link his channel down in the description below, but he's going Aeon, which is making me throw up in my mouth, but that's okay, and going first land. And his buddy on the tip of the island is Naberwasser, who pretty sure we've seen before. He's also going Aeon, so I'm literally about to shit myself, and he's going first and second land. Although Aeon is pretty good in this position because it means you can get over to the middle island relatively easily, especially with some tanks, and potentially secure that. So I'm guessing that's what he's going for with the second land. He's got 7 Aurora that are queued up out of that factory, so that's really good. And last but not least, we've got AT-AT 8, or AT-AT 8, depending on which Star Wars terminology y'all use, but he's going Seraphim, and I'm guessing he opened first land and second air. Got it, both of his hydros up. We're 3 minutes into the game. This is a big map, though, not a whole lot to go over. We're going to be focusing on Willow, though, in this game, but I'll be occasionally zooming out and talking about kind of the developments of the game, because this is Willow week. So Willow is currently building 2 factories at the same time. How did he get engineers? I'm guessing he control K'd a factory and then dropped an air factory, except now he's building another land factory, which he is now control K'ing, and then he's going for another land factory. What the hell is going on? Like, it's just first land, second air, man. It's not complicated. First land, second air. If you need Willow as a buddy, as a friend, if you need to watch my video on how to go T3 air, I've got it up on the channel, man. You can go and watch it. Now he's reclaiming a PGen. Willow is like easily the most indecisive person in this game right now. He's already going T2 air 4 minutes in. I mean, that's fine. He also shift upgraded a lot of his mexes, or double click and upgraded. So he's stalling a whole lot of power right now. So I talk about this a lot, but whenever your power bar looks like this, it's time to pause something. Okay. So he has paused his, Tech 2 upgrade, but now that you've paused it, you need to build more power. He's going for a template. I don't think you should go for a template. If y'all don't know what templates are or how to build them, I did do a tutorial on that. But templates are a bit basically where you can do predefined structure orientations. So something like this with a square of power generators, that would be an example of a template. But this is fantastic eco management, you know, just barely staying alive on the power front while overflowing a shitload of mass. I love to see it. Love to see it. He has fired up his Tech 2 Air HQ upgrade. Again, a little bit premature. He still has some power issues as I am having some scrolling issues. Also has some engineers that are reclaiming. So, and this, Willow, I gotta burn you for this one because you ripped the shit out of me whenever you did Duelist Week like 3 weeks ago or something like that. Is you've got multiple engineers building multiple different power templates. So the goal here is to fix your power problems, right? The only problem is that these things cost power to actually build. So you want to get them online as quickly as possible. So that means that you need to concentrate build power in one area. So what Willow needs to do is, instead of having this engineer building power, these two engineers building power, and then this engineer down here building power, is he needs to take all four of them and then just drag a line of power generators across the middle of his base. He can reclaim them later. That's pretty standard to do in the power game, but that's what he needs to do. Right now, at 8 is now becoming Willow's sugar daddy in this particular instance, and is dumping him a lot of power, which is very, very helpful for him, as he is, you know, still kind of just barely hanging on from a power front, but now mass seems to be more of an issue as he has finished up the Tech 2 Air HQ. Got some Tech 2 engineers coming off that are focusing on a power generator. Okay, so at this point, pull all of your engineers and your commander off from assisting this, because you need this Tech 2 power generator up as quickly as possible. Also, control K-ing your power generators like that, a little bit dangerous. It means that you can destroy engineers with the volatility of power generators, so better to just reclaim them. And now, has he already clicked detect? He's already clicked Tech 2 upgrade. I think this is a little bit soon. I don't know. I mean, he has like a lot of mass problems, but a lot of the mass problems that he has are stemming from the energy problems that he was trying to fix earlier. And now that he's building a Tech 2 power generator, you need to take these engineers off of building Tech 1 power generators, because this one is going to be worth, how much is that? 20? This one is worth 25 Tech 1 P-gens. So you don't need this anymore. Now that you're floating mass again, you can now unpause all of your mechs upgrades. You got plenty of power as well. So just a little bit. I'm splitting hairs here, but you know, I'm only harsh because I love you, Willow. Well, let's look at the rest of the game and see how it's been developing. So we've got Wasser, who has walked his commander over here. He's walking it back now. He's dying to a Zooey that is in his main island. Next, we've got at 8 that is setting up on this little network of islands on the southern side. We do have that being contested by Buzzlebash, who's grabbed this island and is moving down, but it looks like Adat has been able to secure this little archipelago. Buzzlebash's commander actually moved very aggressively. This is actually, so this is deceptively hard to deal with, because if you might be newer to the game, you might be thinking like, oh my god, Buzzlebash has his commander way far forward, look how vulnerable he is. You also need to realize that there's nothing really on team number 1 that can actually kill him at this particular point in time. And the commander is a pretty powerful unit, so Buzzlebash just walking his commander up here, the only thing that Adat can do is really build scouts. And as you see, these scouts die in just one shot from the commander. And that is one of the biggest things that I see out of newer players, is they're a little bit too timid with their commander. Although then you can be like me on the opposite side, and I tend to be a little bit too ambitious with my commander. He's taking some Tech 1 bomber shots, but again, not a huge deal. He's got interceptors that are in the area. They'll be able to take out the bombers. Frigates might be a little bit more of an issue, so that's going to force him to run back, but not really in any danger of losing his commander. He should be able to just walk his commander off of this island, walk it back to his main base. Even though there are subs here, and he should have some Navy that's coming out relatively soon to be able to help out with that. And you can see up here next to his island, he does have a naval production facility, so he should be fine. We'll check back on him later. Next we got Snowy Ruined Day, who is contesting, and that was actually Buzzlebash's Zooey that was causing problems for Nabarwasser there in the middle. But Snowy Ruined Day walked his commander, and his commander being here is actually going to be a huge asset. I think Nabarwasser got a little bit too timid with his comm, moving it back, so that means he's not going to be able to contest this island with his comm without walking it all the way forward. This is a 20 by 20 map, so that's going to take 2-3 minutes or so to get your commander up that far, which isn't great. And ideally you want your commander to face off against the enemy commander. On Katawonga's side, he's done very, very well expanding out to these 3 islands. Not a whole lot of contestation. He's got some Tech 1 Navy, which is great. Let's go back to Willow, who now has Tech 3. He's going for a quantum reactor, as well as some mass storage, and is now reclaiming Tech 1 power, which is good. It's very good. Looks like all of his mass extractors are Tech 2, which is also very good. And he's getting his Tech 3 power generator up after getting 2 Tech 2 power generators, continuously producing Tech 3 engineers. Only thing I would change is have your commander assist the Tech 3 power generator, because you're stalling mass. And probably, okay, you did shut this thing down. Producing Tech 3 engineers actually is pretty mass intensive. I believe it costs like 15 mass a second. 24. So 24 mass per tech goes into a Tech 3 engineer. So you don't want to make too many of those right after you transition to Tech 3. I think he made, how many? He made 3, which is a good number. Anywhere between like 2 and 4 is probably what you want to do before you get your Tech 3 power generator online. This I'm not a huge fan of. He's reclaiming his Tech 2 power already. You kind of need your Tech 2 power until you get at least 2 or 3 Tech 3 power generators up. So this isn't great. As you can see, he's only floating like next to nothing. He's not floating anything now. He's actually draining energy and is reclaiming a power generator. And does he have? Okay, so at least he didn't queue up the second Tech 2 power generator to be reclaimed. That's good, but you can see he needed that 500 power. Like, he's stalling now 400 power. You needed that Tech 2 power generator in order to do this. He's realized this problem. Now he's going for another Tech 3 P-Gen. You need to shift all of these engineers as well as your commander over to building that Tech 3 P-Gen. And then mass stalling, I'd probably, I don't know, maybe turn this off. How many ASF do you have out right now? 3? 3 is plenty to deal with an early strat. You know, you don't need to continue draining your economy by building ASF at this point. You got enough to be able to combat an early strat or some early Tech 2 torpedo bombers. So really, like, everything about Tech 3 Air is about how much of a slingshot can you get into the later portions of the game. And by overbuilding things like ASF early on, by, control Kang and P-Gen that you needed early on, those are things that can impede your slingshot, so to speak. He's also building Navy. This is not great. I don't think on this map you should build Navy yet. He's already actually a Tech 2 as well. So I don't think Navy at this point is a good thing to build in this slot. I haven't played this map a whole lot. I don't think I've ever played it 4v4. I think I've always played it 5v5 or 6v6. But I don't think Navy in that slot is a good position, especially if you look at kind of where your allies are. You've got Katawonga, who's doing really, really good job with the Navy front. You could actually probably help him out with these torpedo bombers that are up here, though. And then down in the south, you've got AT-AT, which is doing a pretty good job on, Navy as well. So not really a need for Navy at this point in the game. You're just straining your economy unnecessarily. And all the mass that's going into Navy could be going into a Tech 3 mechs right now, which you're not upgrading yet at 14 minutes into the game. Definitely want to have one of those started at least, if not already finished. Reclaiming a Tech 2 P-Gen. This isn't terrible at this point because you got 2 of these bad boys, the big daddies, the big Tech 3 power generators. That's fine. I just wasn't a huge fan of the reclaim after the first one. I feel like if you're reclaiming power right now, you should be reclaiming these Tech 1 instead of the Tech 2. Okay, there you go. Now you're reclaiming the Tech 1. In the middle of the map, though, Nabarwasser is struggling a little bit. He's got very little in the way of units in the middle island. He's taking some Azui fire, got some blazes on the way out, also has some destroyers. So he's already gone for Tech 2 Navy, and he's kind of already paid the price for that early Tech 2 Navy. And Willow, I don't think you needed to also pay a similar price by, you know, delaying a Tech 3 mechs or things like that. Because remember, guys, like as you're upgrading mass, upgrading mass is a redemptive cycle, not a destructive cycle, but a redemptive cycle. So the earlier you can get your mass upgraded, the more mass you can get in the long term. So if you have a Tech 3 mechs right now, which is what you're trying to get, do you have, okay, these are still producing, turn these off. There you go. Thank you very much. If you get a Tech 3 mechs earlier, it's going to be exponentially more effective at getting additional mechs to Tech 3, which is why eco is so important. But that does need to be tapered with the overall requirements of your team on the map. So in this instance, whenever Willow has got Navy over here and is producing ships, he is producing ships for almost no reason. Like there's not really any huge amount of naval pressure at this point. So all of this mass, while it's not wasted and it might be used later, it impedes that slingshot, that exponential growth that you can experience by getting higher levels of mass extractors earlier. So yeah, and that slingshot always is weighed by the requirements of your team, where, you know, if you're losing mass, you might sacrifice the Tech 3 mechs in order to get some, if you've lost air control, you might sacrifice the Tech 3 mechs to get more ASF in the air, or, you know, something like that. It all needs to be reactive as far as the game goes. But in this situation, I think Willow made a bad read on the requirements of the map and his team. And if not a bad read on the requirements, he definitely made a bad read on where he put his Navy, because AT-AT is now starting to struggle a little bit against Buzzledash, who, like, still has a vanilla commander and is playing with his balls just sitting on the table waiting to be crushed by a hammer. So that could be something you could do with your air. Because, yeah, the enemy player has Tech 3 air. Holy shit. How much? Just Destro, 28 ASF. Willow at 13. Okay, so not great. Not great. This would be an instance where you need to expand your air grid, which you're doing. You got to get more mass, which you're doing. And all of this comes back to, you know, this investment. Like, this is not cheap. How much does it cost to get to Tech 2 HQ? 800 mass. Each factory costs 300 mass. Okay, so we got 900 mass here. One of these went to Tech 2, which would be 1700 mass. And then you produce some units. I didn't exactly see how many units, but you've got at least half of a Tech 3 mechs there that are in mass that went into Navy that you just didn't need. So again, reading the situation, didn't need Navy, definitely needed some more air. This is a stupid long game, so because I'm treating this more of like a replay review, we're going to bump the speed up a little bit, as much as my CPU can allow, because this game gets crazy. But AT-AT in the corner, getting pushed back a little bit by destroyer or cruisers of all things. He does have Tech 3 Navy. We got some Yathao sub hunters out. That is the name of the sub hunter, right? Yeah, buddy. Yeah, it is. But they are getting harassed by torpedo bombers. Torpedo bombers, great counter to Tech 3 subs from the Seraphim. Despite the fact that the subs have really, really good AA, You don't often surface them because they don't have a whole lot of HP, so you don't want to expose them to direct fire. But Willow's going to come and clean that out. Just Destro probably should have been paying attention. That's going to be first ejection there with Buzzle Bash falling susceptible to those torpedo bombers. So talked about earlier how you got to read what your opponent can kill you with, and that dictates how aggressive you can be with your commander. Buzzle Bash read it incorrectly. But both of these sub hunters just got deleted off of the map by these torpedo bombers. Torpedo bombers just really, really good at dealing with Tech 3 subs. And up in the northern part, we've got Snowy Ruined Day tangling now with Katawonga, as well as the red player, which would be Bob the Builder, who has now built a navy. And actually, both players here for Team 1 in a position where they're forced to retreat. So at this point, Willow should fire up his navy factories again, which he has done. What is your income at? 329, 295. That's not bad, to be honest. ARAS. Are all of your mexes at Tech 3? No. This goes back again to one of the things I talked about in the last review, which is like most efficient ways to get mass. I can tell you RAS and ARAS on your comm is not one of them. Like, yeah, it's a way to get more mass, but the amount of time, like, because everything should be weighed in terms of return on investment, right? Like, how much mass am I investing and how long is the return on that investment? So for his ARAS upgrade, 5,000 mass and then 5,000 mass. So that's 10,000 mass that he invested for a total of how much? 37 mass income. So 10,000 mass for what is effectively 1.5 Tech 3 mexes. So that'd be about 6,000 to 7,000 mass. So ARAS, not super efficient. It might be more efficient than mass fabs or than RAS boys, which I'm not 100% sure about. But either way, not as efficient as upgrading all of your mexes to Tech 3 and or ringing them. That is priority numero uno whenever it comes to expanding your mass, is getting all of your mexes to Tech 3 as quickly as possible. If you're looking for the quickest and easiest way to get mass, look no further than mass extractors, which seems weird, right? Like a mass extractor, it's like in the name. It's almost like it's cheaper to get mass out of the ground than it is to fabricate mass out of thin air. This is not a comment on oil policy or energy policy in any way, shape, or form. Naberwasser has a singular cruiser that is trying to fight off these torpedo bombers. Willow's going to show up with his ASF. Good heads-up thinking by Willow. Unfortunately, he's going to make a really bad turn here. And, well, actually almost entirely get away as long as he takes it correctly. Boy, he was very, very close to losing his entire Air Force there. Naberwasser does have Ascendants in the mix, though, which is great to see. And then battle cruisers coming out from Katawonga. But air control is firmly in the hands of Just Destro right now. I'm curious on the air factory front. So you got 3 air factories completed plus your HQ. Just Destro, who we haven't really looked at yet, has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus his HQ, so 8 that are out. And a lot of that, I think, comes back to you reclaimed Tech 2 power too early. You ended up in a power stall. You went for ARAS instead of making sure all of your mexes were Tech 3 first. Like, it's these little things that have compounded on themselves. And your floating mass. So got to figure out a way to use it, which now you're panic building factories and power generators and stuff like that while you're still assisting. Like if you're going for more manufacturing capacity, take these engineers off and go and build more factories. Like the cheapest way to get more build power from an automated standpoint, as far as like putting units in the field. It's building more factories. It is not assisting factories with engineers. I really think that assisting factories with engineers should be reserved to if you've got a couple units that you just need to get out really, really quickly. Now you have the quantum gateways that are queued up before you have upgraded all of your mexes to Tech 3. God, I'm sounding like a broken record. This game was played before the last game that I reviewed. Willow just sent me this one in particular for me to take a look at, so I'm going to speed this up a little bit. I know Willow likes the boys. Oh my god, he's building mass fabs. Thank the good lord. So at least he's building mass fabs as well as boys. Like, that's fine. But both mass fabs and boys are less efficient than getting these to Tech 3. So, you know, there was Karina in the last video popped up in the comments, and she was talking about how having a mobile economy that wasn't a volatile like bomb essentially in your base is super valuable, and I agree with her on that sense. But one thing that I think I really don't think the fact that having mobile economy outweighs the just outright efficiency of Tech 3 mexes. Like, ultimately, if these Tech 3 mexes are going to die, it's because your island is either surrounded by Navy, or if strats have literally parked themselves up above your base, in which case it doesn't matter at that point. Like, they could be volatile, they could be not volatile, they're gonna die. But she did offer some good insight. If you want to go check out her comments in the past video from Willow, I'll try and remember to link all these down in the description below. I am going to be linking the past video from Willow, the Tech 3 air tutorial that I did, and I believe those are the only two that I promised to link down in the description. But if I miss any, then let me know, because I do forget. Lots of reclaim here. Good job on Catawunga to be able to get these reclaim. I think Willow is producing Navy and then just giving it to Catawunga. They're both Aeon, but Willow has been producing Navy for a while, and I haven't really seen his Navy, like any of his units out here, so I think he's giving them off, which is fine. Just Destro is starting to make some inroads against AT-AT down here. AT-AT does have battleship though, as well as a lot of submarine hunters. He also has a fun little UI mod and has renamed his battleship as SMS von der Ten, which sounds either German or Swedish to me. I'm not quite 100% sure what that means. If somebody wants to tell me, that'd be awesome. Catawunga, though, taking out a lot of the manufacturing here for Snowy Ruin today, and is now threatening some of the mexes that are out on these islands. Battlecruiser's really paying off quite well. Needs a couple more of these battleships, though, out on the front line. The Summits and the battlecruisers here from Bob the Builder have set up in a pretty good fashion to be able to take out a lot of, be able to at least range a lot of what Navarvasser is going to be throwing at him. Got some torps coming in from Willow. Looks like they're focusing on the shield boats. They're going to get absolutely evaporated by ASF. 178 ASF for just Destro. For Willow, it is 41. Is that it? Well, he's taking his ASF in kind of dangerous positions. That's really it? 52 now. Okay. You need huge amounts of huge air discrepancy. I think just Destro probably starts need to think about I can't speak. Probably need to start thinking about a strat rush of some sort, because he just has absolutely crushing air superiority right now. And we have a couple of flak that are in like some of the players' bases, but not a whole lot of SAMs. Everybody's got SMD, which is really good, with the exception of Catawunga. So nuke might be an option there. But just Destro needs to use this ASF advantage as much as he can. He starts to pick a fight with Willow. Willow caught napping a little bit, actually. Tries to go for, you know, some more coherent turns, but just Destro just has such an emphatic superiority there. It means AT-AT is now Willow just accidentally left his units on attack. ASF are going to get vaporized there. Just Destro takes out the HQ as well as some factories down here for AT-AT. AT-AT is now stuck in his base. Willow claiming he has double eco, so can't win. I mean, yeah, he does have double eco, but he's also playing Navy, and he does have like a pretty heavy Navy presence. So I mean, I really don't think. What does your eco even look like? Yeah, Willow is saying like he has double eco. I can't win against him. Look at this motherfucking mass bar, man. Like, dude's overflowing mass. He's gifting it away to Katawunga and Nabarwasser, and he's sitting there bitching about like the fact that he can't win because the opponent has double eco, whatever. He's not even spending all of his mass. Oh my god. Either way, just Destro playing quite well. He is the 1400 level player. He actually isn't even really spending all of his mass either, but his eco is a little bit better balanced than Willow's is. I'm guessing some of these fluctuations are off of reclaim. But just Destro moving a ton of frigates into Nabarwasser's base. Frigates just hounding this battleship. Battleship does not have the rate of fire to be able to combat this many frigates. A couple of destroyers though back here are going to help equal the odds. That was a nuke that got launched. I'm trying to see where the nuke came from. Might have been a Billy nuke out of somebody, because I'm not seeing a nuke launcher just yet. I might be missing it though, or either that or my mod isn't working. Katawunga does have a SMD, which is good. He's also got a Novax. Novax, I don't know how good. Whenever I watch this replay, he uses the Novax for naval defense. I don't know how good that is. I'm actually genuinely curious to put that a little bit more to the test. Is there a nuke launcher anywhere that I'm missing? Hello? Nuke launcher? That's a nice little run by from Nabarwasser, taking out some mexes there on that middle island. Got a couple of blazes, couple of ascendants, taking out some Tech 2 mexes. They're going to get evaporated by a battleship that's walking by, as well as some destroyers that have just come off of the production line, but that's okay. Katawunga starting to run into some issues here, though. He's essentially fighting. He's essentially 2v1 versus Bob the Builder and Snowy Ruined Day, while Nabarwasser and Willow are having to tangle with just Destro, pushing up through this little gap in the islands. And AT-AT is, I think, just having to sit back and rethink his life decisions here. I still don't see the nuke launcher. I have no idea where it is, if there is one. It had to have been a Billy. Where is Bob the Builder's commander? He doesn't have a Billy. All right, I have no idea, but that sounded like an artillery shot. We have a Duke now done from Bob the Builder, who has now built a Duke, living up to his name. Bob has almost entirely focused, it looks like, on... He's got a little bit of Navy. He's got a Tech 3 Naval HQ, and that is... He's got some Tech 2 Naval factories down here, but that's pretty much it. He's almost naked rushed that artillery, which is currently starting to pound into Katawunga's base. And Katawunga has been, as Gandalf said, the anvil upon which the hammer of the Black Armies swing. I'm not sure if I'm quoting that appropriately, but he was referring to Minas Tirith in that quote. So Katawunga is essentially manning the walls here of Minas Tirith, trying to buy his buddies Rohan and the armies of the dead time to come to his aid. From a ASF perspective, Just Destro at 177. Hasn't made a whole lot of inroads on the ASF side. And Willow looks to be about matching him. 229, actually outstripping the enemy air player quite a bit. Just Destro has shifted over a lot of his manufacturing, I think, to torpedo bombers. Yeah, so we got several air factories that are focusing on torpedo bombers. Might not have great intel on the overall air efficacy that Willow has now. Willow's pumping out torpedo bombers, needs to use them to help out his buddy down here. There is one aircraft carrier, but it's a pretty long way away. You could take out a lot of these battleships and a lot of these frigates before either the ASF or the aircraft carrier was able to react. But as it stands right now, looks like AT-AT is actually going to be going for attack missile snipes on these battleships, which actually works like surprisingly well. I wasn't expecting it to work out that well. Wow. Wow. That's really, really good, actually. Willow has a cloud of torpedo bombers now that are making their way over to AT-AT. I really think that just Destro needs to focus on taking out some of these perimeter mexes to keep AT-AT from being able to actually fight back, instead of going for the main base. But Halthum battleships now starting to assault the position. More shield generators going up, though. Seraphim shields not super easy to get through. Aircraft carrier was repositioned, though. 33 kills on its name, but is taking artillery fire. Got a couple of Zuthams in AT-AT's base. Let's check back in on Willow. Willow has got just a huge amount of manufacturing now. So he actually has like built things up to the point where he's got 17 air factories plus his HQ. So 18 air factories, just Destro. Resting on his laurels, I think, a little bit. Only has 10 air factories plus his HQ, so 11. Second artillery, though, coming out from Bob the Builder. Just Destro. What is he working on? Oh, he's working on a Scathis. Okay. He's got some boys that are bumping around, too. And even if you're not a fan of building the Tech 3 mass fabs, it is a good idea, especially if you have shields around, like all of your mass extractors, to at least double cap your Tech 3 mexes. Double cap means you're building Tech 2 mass fabs around your Tech 3 mexes. This push over on this side has been quite interesting. We have okay, so actually that's probably where I was hearing the nukes fire off from earlier, were these missile submarines. We got one out from Katawonga going after the higher ranking ships in the background, looks like. Nuke is going to be a little off the mark. Didn't quite kill, I think, any of the battleships. So, not great. Destroyers, I think, have been sent out from Willow, or at least shared from Willow. He's got all of these now up to Tech 2 Navy, cranking those out. He's still got just an obscene amount of mass, man. Dude, build artillery, build a nuke launcher, build... I don't know. Like, Willow's doing nothing right now outside of building more mass and ASF and strategic bombers. Like, you can build, he's building boys, and then he's building aircraft. Like, build something else, man. Build a nuke launcher. Build an artillery. Build a Tempest. I don't know. Something. Build something else. Something bigger. We like big guns. That's the reason most of us play this map, for these matches. How much mass is in the middle? Thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Some frigates making it around in the back line. Looks like we now have a point defense Ravagers being thrown up to be anti-naval units. So Katawonga literally pulling out all the stops to keep his island alive here. He's doing a pretty good job. Salems are trying to get out of the water, but are getting mowed down by Ravagers as well as battleships. He has lost a couple of Tech 3 mexes. He's going to lose another one here, potentially, from the long-range fire. And his navy is now getting overwhelmed. How many kills does his Novax have? Where is his Novax? Okay, we got... Okay, they're actually assaulting the... They're actually assaulting the artillery. Couldn't figure out what the word was. There is an artillery that has been completed. Who built the artillery? It was Naval, who has an emissary up. See, Willow, you've got the mass, man. You're pulling in 900 mass per second. Do something else with that other than make torpedo bombers and strategic bombers. I know you know how this works, okay? That's why I'm getting frustrated. Like, I know you're a good player. You're a better player than me. I know you know how that works. Whenever you're up at 1,000 mass income, like, just let that sink in. He does have air superiority, which is great. Oh, he has strats out that are bombarding the Scathis, apparently. Look at it, look at this, look at this. 2 bases can't keep up. His opponent on 2 bases has 800 mass per second. You have 940. Scathis is up, though. And Naval actually went for a Sacu teleport, has 3 land factories up. Now starting to make some fervors. That's a wacky play. Strats in from Willow. So now he's abusing his air superiority here. Lots of Myrmidons that have been set up by Just Estro. Is the Scathis online? It's not shooting anything. The Myrmidon should be able to deal with the strats before they get a second pass. Oh, maybe not. I take that back. That's depressing. Not even any reclaim? I guess it wasn't done yet. That sucks. That absolutely blows. What also blows is the way Willow is just like patrolling his air over like a shitload of SAMs. But, you know, sometimes you suck, sometimes you blow. It just depends on what kind of chromosomes you were born with at birth. Actually, it probably doesn't depend on that anymore. Who knows? All right. Katawunga going for another Novax here. Yeah, it actually doesn't. It actually definitely doesn't depend on that. That was an off-the-cuff statement that I probably shouldn't have said, but that's okay. All right. If I offended anybody, I'm sorry. Anyway. Okay, Katawunga is starting to lose the island at this point. Got a lot of governors that are shelling him. Willow, from a air perspective, did deny the Scathis, which is really, really good. Also has a lot of torpedo bombers. Is he working on anything else that might be bigger, that might be more exciting here? No. Willow's just going for the vanilla. I'm gonna win air and then just throw torpedo bombers into a cloud of cruisers. All right, that doesn't look great. Yep, that doesn't look great. Just look at the mass, man. Holy shit. It lags the game for me to pull up. How much mass is here. Like, there's hundreds of thousands. And a lot, there's a ton that is even in like a safe spot for team number 1 to be able to capture. This is probably the most naval factories I think I've ever seen, even in pro matches. Out of Snowy Ruined Day. Naval still transporting or teleporting Sacus around. He's got another little base down here. This is insane. Bob the Builder has been deleted from the match, effectively at this point. Artillery is out, etc. That's nuts. So really the only thing that they're winning at this point, or like even close to winning, is Katawunga's side of the map. So Katawunga has done a great job of being just kind of an impenetrable wall here for his enemies to swing themselves upon. Willow has been very helpful on that front too, providing really just a bunch of destroyers. which is great. Oh, he's also got some more manufacturing back here. Now he's building something more interesting. He's building Tsars. Is he stalling? He's gonna stall building Tsars. And he's building mass fabs. I'm very proud of you. You know, he didn't have the order correct. You know, he built quantum gateways before he had all of his mexes Tech 3, and before he built Tech 3 mass fabs. But you know what? You figured it out eventually. I'm very proud of you. I knew you had it in you. I knew you had it in you. I would like to see some drops for a reclaim though. Catawonga's trying to get as much reclaim as he can with Tech 3 engineers. But Team 2 actually starting to push back on this side. I've got it set to +3, but it's really going at +1 right now. And I don't even think it's really making +1. It's probably just making +0. We're 46 minutes in almost on this video. We've got a donut that has been dropped on Snowy Ruin Day's base. Willow once again going for just a massive air crush here. And I'm not quite sure why we don't have more air out of just Destro. I think just Destro is just confused and just a little overwhelmed. He's lost a lot of his mexes here due to artillery. Novax is a great thing to use to take out some of these things. We got mass nukes out from a bunch of aces belonging to Bob the Builder. Those are going after Catawonga's base. He had an SMD at one point. I think it's gone. Yep, it's gone. So Catawonga, it was a valiant stand, my man. But he has now lost a lot of his base. I believe his commander's still alive, though. Yeah, his commander's still alive somewhere. Because I can select his player. So, okay, there it is. Outside of the blast radius, but he lost his entire base. Does he have his HQ still? He does have his Tech 3 HQ, so can probably subsist off of overflow on the power front, as well as reclaim that has been deposited for some good periods of time here. We've got Willow with a Tsar that is now done. Got a nice little pizza that's up there. Said this a lot, but for the longest time, the way that Guile, who introduced me to the game, the way he says Tsar, because of his, British accent, it really sounds like he says za. And for the longest time, I thought he was talking about pizza, man. I thought he was talking about some za, bro. I was like, well, it's round. It looks, it could be a pizza. Okay. I don't know how many other people made that mistake, but for the longest time, that was how I thought it. I didn't realize it was actually called a Tsar. Like as in the Russian word for Caesar. But huge amounts of sub-hunters now out from AT-AT, who has reclaimed his side of the map. Bob the Builder, as well as Snowy Ruin Day, starting to get overwhelmed here. They've lost a ton of mass. Willow's Donut or Tsar or Za, whatever you want to call it. Taking out Tech 3 mexes left and right. Snowy Ruin Day now down to a paltry 300 mass per second income, which is just absolutely a disgustingly low amounts of mass per second. It actually is kind of low for like an hour into the game. I did a stream a really long time ago where I was very, very drunk. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning and everybody was making fun of me for only having 300 mass per second at like an hour and a half into the game. In the stream, it was great. Ground fire, maybe, on Snowy Ruin Day. Maybe. Either that or the torpedoes will be able to take care of him. Ground fire, maybe. There we go. Ground fire. I think he can hit. He's taking a lot of fire, though, from SAM sites. So one of these Tsars could go down here pretty soon. Gonna go ahead and take it into Bob the Builder's base, as well as just Destro's base. Looks like he's going after Bob the Builder's commander. And then he decides to not to, and just sit his Tsars over Sam's. You're going to lose both of them. That's a lot of mass. He just gifted over. Although the Yasao is going to shut down Tech 3 naval capacity there from Bob the Builder, just absolutely melting that HQ. Scathis is up from just Destro. So 15 minutes later, holy shit, Willow's base is gone. That had to have been from the Scathis. Not shielded well enough. I didn't see that earlier. I probably should have seen that earlier. This has become a very, very interesting game at this point, because nobody really has like a base anymore. Everybody's base, except for, well, Nabravassar, AD, and I guess just Destro. Although that's going to be it for Snowy. It gets taken out from a nuke from an ace. Alright, so now it's all up to the Scathis, and Willow's got to defend against the Scathis. He needs more shields. I realize that might be obvious, but Willow is... well, he's floating mass. He definitely can afford shields. What are these? Oh, cradles. Take these RAS commanders and build shields. See, like, this is the thing. Everybody argues with me, and they're like, RASCOMs can build stuff. That's why they're more efficient. But they just sit there 95% of the time and don't do anything. Like, yeah, they can build stuff, but it depends on whether or not you do build stuff with them, and Willow's not building anything with them right now. They're literally just less efficient economy right now, as now Nabravassar is getting assaulted by the Scathis. He has 1, 2, he did have a third emissary on the way. And there is, I believe, enough shielding. All these are ED5s. They should be able to deal with it. Lots of destroyers going after Bob the Builder's base. So this is now kind of turned a little bit interesting here, because Nabravassar, I think his shields are going to start failing here in a second. Alright, maybe not. Maybe he doesn't have enough shields there. This is the problem with Scathis on larger maps. Their damage is just a little bit too spread out some of the time. Like half of the shells, maybe even 3/4 of the shells out of the Scathis, not even impacting on any sort of target of opportunity. So I mean, the Scathis is great, but a lot of the shells will hit like the mountains or these craters around here. The damage spreads out a lot. And we got Tech 3 Navy assaulting Bob the Builder's position. Bob the Builder set up a lot of TMD there as try and deal with what I'm... where are the tech... oh, there's one cruiser here. Okay. Oh, but the emissaries have now broken through. I think that was one Scathis that they just took out. No, that was not a Scathis, but the Scathis is now exposed. Okay, now it's not exposed. Torpedo bombers trying to sort out the situation, but I mean, this is Team 2's game to lose. Yeah, they're starting... the Scathis is actually breaking through on Nabravassar's base, so starting to lose shielding as well as emissaries. That was a brutal volley right there, as well as power generation. Bob the Builder is going to go down. Nukes coming out now from Katawunga. Just Destro gonna control K after that. I'm assuming SMD's got taken out, and that is it for this monster of a replay. Hour and 4 minutes long. Crazy. So, going back to Willow, I think he did the right things in the end. He just did them in the wrong order. As far as like building quantum gateways before you have all of your mexes to Tech 3, just little stuff like that, you know? It's a little bit of a sequencing thing. Is Reclaim Calculator? No, it's not. What is this tool? Mass Fabricator panel. I wonder if this is new. I haven't seen that before. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.